Call the meeting to order at 7:04. We'll start with the board norms, which are to maintain our focus, communicate respectfully, be present, keep the board productive and effective, and respect the agenda. So, any changes to the agenda? All right, seeing none. Eli, you want to hit us with your student report?
Yeah, of course. Basketball just started last week for high school. It started a little earlier for um, middle school. So the girls have their first game on the 6th, on the 12th, and then the boys have the first game on the 16th. So we're excited for the basketball season. I'm excited to get going again. And then huge shout out to the theater department. They put on Shrek a few weeks back. I wasn't able to go myself, but I've heard that it was amazing. Um, those type of productions are always really hard and they take a lot of time and effort. So nice job, everyone. And then um, in school, students who were applied for travel intensives, so got notified that they're going. So there's a group of students that are going to London this spring for a week. There's a group of students that are going to New York City to go to Broadway and look at uh, um, stuff there. And then a group of students who are going to Chicago and exploring around Chicago. So that's pretty exciting and um, definitely had a little bit of a buzz around the school. So yeah, other than that, we're in December and it's a couple weeks till break.
Great. That's exciting. Any questions for Eli?
You said when your first game was?
The first game is 16th and just 16th, and the girls are the 12th.
Tournament.
Great. The next season is here. Go so fast. All right, moving on to public comment. I'm gonna ask folks there in the room if you see hands before I do, please let me know.
There is nobody here for public members of the public. What
Oh,
you see on the camera there is the entire room.
that's it. Okay. Got it. All right. So I would guess we have no public comment then. So we will move on
Good.
to, sorry, go ahead.
Good.
Oh, hi, Chris.
Hey, sorry, I'm talking to my dog.
Does your dog have a comment?
Oh, what?
Does your dog have a comment?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
No. Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm trying to mute, but it's not letting me.
That's okay. All right, moving on to old business, long-term planning discussion, language for the Jamaica vote. Bob, do you want to tee that up?
Sure. So we had, I think, I don't know if it was the last meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had some proposed language at that point. There were some questions from members of the public about the wording. I took the suggestions that the members of the public gave, ran them by the board's attorney, and he felt that those modifications were fine. That is what is presented here before you. So this gives us the ability, if accepted today, January 14th would be in that 30 to 40 day window for warning. Um, and it wouldn't be prior to your next meeting, unfortunately, but you could do a special meeting after if you chose to see where that information brings you. But this language is such that would allow or actually request that the town of Jamaica have the vote on that date, whether or not to close the school. And so that's where we're at.
Okay. Um, having read this, folks, is there anybody that would like to make that motion, or would we want to go further into our discussion about the budget? What is the pleasure of the board?
I'd
I'd
like
like to make,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I think it's you.
Oh, echo.
Is that me?
That might be you. Go back to your Zoom.
I'd
I'd
like,
Sorry.
okay,
Thanks. I got you now.
okay. I'd like to make the motion to accept the revised language and push for the vote to happen on January 14th. The town of Jamaica to decide.
Dana, could you do me a favor? Could you just read the
Read that.
as it's written? Thank you.
Yep. Make a motion to pursuant to 16 VSA 722D and the Articles of Incorporation of the District, the Select Board, and other necessary town authorities of the town of Jamaica shall warn the following article to be voted on by Australian ballot on January 14th, 2025. Also, shall the voters of the town of Jamaica agree and give the authority to the board of the West River Modified Union Education District to close the Jamaica Village School such that the Jamaica Village School would not be used for an elementary school or provision of direct educational service by the district to students, with the closing to happen on or before June 30th, 2025.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Joe. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, I'm going to do the best I can to go around my screen here to ask for each individual person's vote. Joe, how do you vote?
Aye.
Emily? Lindsay?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
So people are moving. Whoops. Uh, Kate?
Aye.
I saw Sarah. Oh, Sarah, there you are. Sarah.
Aye.
And did I miss anybody? Bob, anybody else? Did I miss anybody?
Dana?
Me.
Oh, geez. Dana.
Aye.
Sorry. All right. And I vote aye as well. How many does that make? Sorry, I was not counting. The motion carries unanimously. I just, however many voted. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8.
Did
8.
Paul abstain?
I think, I apologize. I think everybody voted aye. Okay, great. The motion carries unanimously. All right, thank you.
I will
So,
be in touch with the Jamaica town offices tomorrow and give them the heads up and get this thing going.
all right. Thanks, everybody. Moving on to the consent agenda. The minutes of 9:26, 9:30, and 11:04. Get a motion for that.
So moved.
Any second?
I'll second it, but I got discussion.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, moving on to discussion. Go ahead.
I'm listed as Brookline on Jamaica.
Right. Can make that adjustment. Anything else?
No, all of them.
Just the 30th. And then I got a duplicate of 30.
It also looks like on all of them, the at-large members still are listed by town and not as at-large.
Mhm.
I know that's,
No, thank you, sir. That should be corrected. Absolutely.
an issue. It's been ongoing.
Okay, great. Anything else?
Oh, there are two 30ths. I think to September 30th. I think the one where I was Brookline, which should be September 26th or September 6th. Because I know I wasn't at the 30th meeting.
Oh, Dana, yeah, I'm seeing what you're seeing.
Yeah, I was in
They're both,
Bermuda on the 30th of
they're
September.
both
She's back there now.
Yeah.
Wednesday. Okay. Yeah, they're both noted as the 30th. That is correct.
It's the same.
So the one where I was present should be September 6th.
26th?
Or, yeah. Yeah.
But it's the same.
26th. And
Okay. Hmm. All right, so we need a date change on that, plus what you've noted, Dana and Sarah. Who made that motion?
Peter did.
I did. I will amend it.
Thank you, sir. And Dana, you were the second,
yeah.
as amended. Great. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll go around the room again. Do you vote, Joe?
Yes, aye.
Emily?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Okay, and I think that's it. Motion carries
Aye.
unanimously. Oh, geez. All right. Just hit me in
Yeah,
there.
Zoom with
Yeah.
him.
Sorry, Dana. And I vote in favor as well. Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Moving on to correspondence. Did we have any correspondence?
I do not think I have received any correspondence.
Okay, great. Moving on to approving the financials. Who would like to do that?
I'm happy to make a motion to approve the pay orders. It's pay order number 34 for $107.04. Pay order 35 for $1,860, and pay order 36 for $13,972.90.
I'll
Thank you, Jeff.
second it.
Thank you, Dana. And I'm going to try this one time, see if we can do this right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries unanimously. Great. Sorry, we'll try to move things along a little quicker. Okay. Funding of BDCC Program P3 for Leland and Gray. Joe, I am going to recuse myself from this discussion and voting. I will allow you to take the reins on this one.
Okay. Do we
Joe, I
have
can help you out if you want.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do we have somebody who's prepared to talk about this? I mean, I know we funded it forever. I know it's a fantastic program. The reviews of it are unbelievable. And you know, I'm certainly in favor of doing it, but that's not the presentation we need.
Yep. So I can jump in here. So this, the BDCC, those of you that have been on the board for a while, had created a position, I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe, or six even, that was grant funded initially for a position to work with the four high schools in Windham County. And they hired Christy Bennett, who has been there since. And at the time that their 3-year grant, I think it was a 3-year grant, ended, they began asking the four districts to, where the high school is located, to chip in to help support the ongoing work that this happens through BDCC. And so for the last couple, three maybe, we've been chipping in some money, and they are asking for us to do so again as a $25,000 line item in the budget, which is the same amount that they asked for and that we gave them last year. Heidi has already built it into both budget models that she's presenting tonight. So you don't have to worry about that piece of it unless you want to pull it out. But I, for one, would very strongly endorse keeping it. There's a multiple page attachment that explains a lot of the work that Christy does with Leland and Gray, and I would say that she's instrumental in the senior survival program and supporting Terry in the co-op work, and certainly bringing the reality fair here, which is an incredible opportunity for our kids. We've been hosting it for the last few years. So yeah, I can't say enough great things about the program. The kids rave about the course. And they are, I mean, well, Eli, have you taken it? Let me just ask you. The senior survival?
Yes, it's definitely beneficial, right?
Yeah. So one of the things that we've heard from kids was saying it was actually the most valuable course they've taken, and that we should make them take it in their junior year because it's so important. It's some of the feedback that Terry's heard. So anyways, that's my pitch. And I will turn it back over to Joe.
I know Dana put his hand up to speak to it, and then we have Emily. So go ahead, Dana.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually wanted to add to what Bob shared in terms of what this brings to our school. There's also a fearless futures aspect around planning with the students. We actually have a specific fair in the works, and I probably shouldn't say we because it's not me that's doing the work, but through this grant, Sarah Grasso and Terry and Christy are all planning a fair for the students at Leland and Gray. They don't have it named yet, but they're planning for a fair in the spring to help our students think about their futures, senior survival, like Bob said, and obviously the reality fair. But this is also interesting. Christy has helped our students get interviews and co-ops beyond the scope of what Terry does. She has also helped secure employment for some of our students post-graduation through her connections. We also, our students have access to the Wyndham Work Ready credential because of this grant and this work that they do, and then access to scholarships. So this definitely augments our high school program at Leland and Gray. And while we have a whole range of enhancements at this time, they're still working to develop more aspects and nuances. I know senior survival has, like Bob said, great reviews. They're actually talking about like parsing that out into earlier grades and augmenting it to help our students be prepared for the world. So yeah, I definitely support this.
Thanks, Dana. Emily.
Thanks, Joe. I just wanted to say a quick word in strong support of this program. I happened to be around when they were first proposing it. Well, been around a lot longer than that, but I was really paying attention in the beginning. And honestly, I am so impressed. And I actually believe that we are a real model here. And I just want to thank our administration and our staff for supporting our kids in the way that they have through this program. I think this is a direction that all schools should be heading. And I am grateful for having the opportunity and that BDCC has presented that for us. I think more schools should be involved in this. So, as much as you're going to hear me constantly being cautious about our spending, I think this is really wise spending and meets what my goal is, our students' needs and our students' future. So I strongly support this.
Thank you. Now we just got to get BDCC to franchise this to all the other high schools in the state. Al. Lindsay, you want to speak to this as well?
Yeah, I hope you can hear me. I think this is a really great program. I just want to acknowledge that we've been having hard conversations about finances lately, and it's just another opportunity to spend money, and all of the things that we choose to spend money on or not spend money on are hard choices. I would I am very much in favor of this program. I may be interested in not fully funding it this year, but funding it at a reduced rate than what we did last year, simply because of the hard conversations that we're having. And looking back at the letter they sent, there was a lot of discussion about how, because they were so well funded last year, they were able to expand a little bit. And that's great, but also we're having conversations about how hard finances are. So I just I support this with a little bit of trepidation, I guess.
Thank you. Anybody else? Do we actually need a motion to prove that, or since it's already a line item in the budget, as long as we leave it in the budget, it just gets funded?
I mean, it is a request from them for funding, so it seems probably wise to do it with a motion.
Okay. So then we'd just be looking for a motion to support the funding request from BDCC.
I'll make that motion. Emily.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second it.
Thank you, Peter. Any further discussion other than what we've had on this? Okay. Seeing no hands and hearing nothing, all in favor of the motion to support BDCC for P3, please say aye.
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 Any opposition? All right, the motion carries unanimously with one abstention, right, Al?
Right. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right, first look at FY26 budgets, plural.
All right, so Heidi and I got to tag team this a little bit, although I'm obviously going to have her take the lead. But as requested at the last meeting, you guys asked for there to be two separate budgets constructed. You have one budget if that basically is constructed with the concept that JBS is open as it currently is, BK for next year. And you have one budget presented that if the townspeople of Jamaica vote to close the school, it would include closing the school and moving the pre-K room to another location in the district. So those are the two budgets you have. I don't know if there's a direction you want to take, how you to kind of start us off, or
so I was wondering if they want me to share on the screen, just because they're maybe not, they don't have all the information, and I was just gonna kind of go over the WCSU board, which obviously has implications in your own budget, and then take questions, but give you some information. So
you can share.
So I just want to get the different, let me get rid of that. And we have three, I'm going to start with that. So, oops, it's not here. Still getting used to the sharing thing. Okay. Okay, so I'm starting with just a little information about the WCSU budget that was approved by the WCSU board. There was a decrease in the expenditures of the superintendent's budget. Okay. We had an increase in the ECSE budget, which is with students that are under the age of 6 years old. So there was that's part of special ed. There was a 7.08 increase in the MTSS budget, but there was a significant decrease in federal funding to the tune of $400,000. So the net balance ends up being an 18.65% increase that has to be shared by all the school districts.
Grace, these chocolate cookies with some milk are going to come in.
You will see I put a little example of each of the expenses, revenue, offsetting revenue, and whether there was the use of a fund balance for the pieces of the SU budget that were voted and approved. So there's $100,000 being used out of the fund balance for the superintendent's budget. There is $1 million use of fund balance for the MTSS budget. And there is no fund balance for the ECSE budget. So,
and just to highlight that, so at the SU board meeting where this was voted on, it was the only board that was not represented was Wyndham, and it was unanimous approval of all of the budgets.
Thank you. Yep. So those numbers are all allocated between each of the school districts based on their the 2-year rolling average of students in the building. So moving on to the impacts for your own West River Education District, we have some state information that came out last week that I've been able to put into trying to get some good, stronger numbers for your budget. The estimated spending, the excess spending threshold that is coming back for 26 was reduced a little bit and is 15,926. At least that's the estimate we have right now. I had originally thought it was going to be around 16,108, so it came in a little under. The long-term weighted ADM for West River has actually gone up, which was wonderful, to 866.13. Again, that's a 2-year weighted average of pupils that we pay for. So the last year it was 848. So it's up by almost 20 long-term weighted students. The property yield, as we've heard over and over again, isn't actually set until the end of the legislative session. However, what has come out last week was an estimated yield in the amount of 8,553. This is 1,300 less than last year, but there's also a new calculation for taxes that includes the CLA, and I have to make an adjustment based on a statewide average, currently estimated to be 72%, and then dividing the taxes out by the state adjusted for each town. So a little different. It's going to make it difficult to share any comparisons for previous years. So that's unfortunate. Going into our specific budget, there's just some notes that I made to point out, and I did send, I think Sue sent out the budget Friday night, maybe. So for revenue, there is increased tuition in your revenue budget. I've taken into account what we expect from Wardsboro, Dover, and Marlboro, but I've also, this will be the first year that we've actually anticipated tuition from Wyndham Elementary students. So I used an average of 10 students, expecting it to, looking at what was potentially moving into middle school and what's out there. So that was a conservative number. We are back to getting the solar lease revenue of the 26,000, so that's good. And there is a English language learners grant that we received this year and will expect to receive next year. That's 25,000 for having 1 to 5 students who have tested needing English language learner services. So those are good things. Of the budget with JVS and a pre-K program, there is a reduction of about 166,000 over last year's budget because of the teachers that we did not hire or able to hire to run K through 5. There was a reduction of a custodian for the elementary schools, and it's been replaced by a cleaning service. The cost is pretty similar when you look at salary and benefits to what we're paying for the 3 schools. Health insurance increases were 11.9%. That's what they just came out with. We have made a reduction of the Leland and Gray campus safety position. We did increase a little funding for upgrading some security equipment, trying to get cameras upgraded and into a system where we're doing a few every year. There is increases in other insurances across the board. All of the buildings and workers' comp, all those insurances have gone up significantly this year. The PBL program, they're having some exciting things happening, and so much so that they have asked for an increase of funding next year of another 88,000. They currently have 62,000. We are continuing the Journey Away program. In this current budget, there's still 31,000 funded to go towards travel and get moved into the fund we hold for Journey Away. There's continued funding for VEMSA and the BDCC programs. There is an increased after-school budget, which is mainly due to the loss of grants to help fund summer. There's an increased food program budget, and made a note that we've paid off the $90,000 bond finally for the wood boiler and the water projects this year, but we are continuing to pay on the $130,000 bond for the Dutton gym renovations, and we finished paying that off in 2029. And also included in this budget is continuing to fund $150,000 for capital expenditures. So with those numbers, and I'll go into the budgets next in case people have more questions, I'm showing this graph, which shows what the expenditure budget was in 25 versus what this is showing up for 26. It's an increase of $808,249, which is a 5.54% increase. The revenues have gone up because of tuition. And so the ed spending is up 4.24. The second budget you asked me to prepare has a little bit less. It was about 131,000. I should explain the first budget, I did subtract out some other expenses besides teachers because we aren't going to use as many cleaning supplies or, just the building supplies of toilet paper and all that stuff. So I had already reduced some expenses. So taking the Jamaica School out of the equation only reduced it by another 131,000. So it takes the expenses down to 4.64 and the ed spending down to 3.3. So let me see if I click over.
I'll pause there, see if there's any questions
Sure.
up until this point. So we've had a very big overview here with some large ideas without getting into the actual budget lines yet. But are there any questions that folks have about any of that material thus far?
Okay.
All right. Seeing none.
I have
David.
one. What happens if Jamaica doesn't vote to close?
Then we have the first budget, which includes them with pre-K, as I was directed to do. And then we can talk about the threshold. I have some information on where we're going to fall with the threshold, which isn't fun information. So
the short answer is if they don't, there's more reductions you'll need.
Yeah.
And if they do, there's some reductions you'll need anyways to get below.
I mean, I can jump in and tell you right now, I suppose, or should we go through the budgets first?
I mean, I guess that's up to Al. Do you want to do it? Like, how do you want to look at the budgets? Do you want to just start at the bottom line and then get to the tax implications, or do you want to have some detail along the way?
Do you have any other detail, kind of like behind the scenes information like you're showing right here, Heidi? Anything further or is this the end of?
I have a Jamaica informational sheet, which really pertains to Jamaica and very specific information because I was asked. I'm looking at the tax calculator and looking at the yield, and I do know how much we need to reduce the threshold to get to the threshold in each of these scenarios. If you want me to just throw it out there.
Yeah, I'd say without objection, we might as well just jump right to that, and then we can kind of backtrack if we want to look at anything in particular. Sure.
So if I just do that, stop share, then I can add to it. I just want to pull it up so I'm giving you very accurate information.
So that difference, just so she's looking for this, the difference between the two budgets the number that we had originally presented as a savings included the two teachers that we didn't replace. But because the direction was to create a budget for pre-K only, those two are removed in both models. So the savings that you see, you think it's going to be bigger because you're taking out the two teachers, but because the two budgets both have the two teachers out, the difference is really just the building operations.
Right. I mean, it did save 360,000 over last year's budget to remove all of that, but now there's increases in this budget and there's not a huge amount of savings.
So what you're really looking at is the building ops,
yeah,
which is the 130-ish is what she's described.
So with the first budget
sharing again, or
not really.
No.
Please share, Heidi.
It's because it's the tax calculator and like some things could change. So I hate to really make this whole thing public. But what I can tell you is that with the first budget of keeping Jamaica with a pre-K in the budget, you're looking at needing to reduce your budget to get under the threshold and pay no penalties. You need to cut $567,843.
So 567,843.
Yeah,
that number.
Yeah.
Okay.
If Jamaica were to vote to close the school and we move pre-K to another school building we currently have, you need to reduce the budget by $436,758 to get under paying a penalty due to the threshold.
And that difference, of course, is the building ops reduction that's in that other budget.
Yes. Yep. So
can I just interrupt for a second? Sorry, I should have raised my hand, but I just want to quickly say, would you explain, because I'm very aware of what it means if we go over, but I think that everybody should hear what it means if we go over the threshold. Thank you.
Yep. So using the 15,926 as the excess spending threshold, if you have a per pupil cost that's over that, we subtract the difference. So with the full budget, your per pupil long-term weighted ADM spending is 16,745. We subtract that number from 15,926 and we get what is your overage of per pupil costs. Now, because we have a bond and principal of interest payment that is previous to July 1st, I get to subtract out 142,249 out of that calculation, which turns into $164 for an exclusion on a per pupil cost. So the number that's left over to per pupil cost over the 15,926 is $655. That $655 over the threshold is now taxed at 118%. So that is the penalty, which then gets added back into your per pupil cost, which then brings it up to $17,401. So that's where that penalty falls into.
So hence the concept of the quote unquote double tax, really 118%, but yeah, close enough.
So Heidi, we have two budgets here. Which budget were you referring to when you said 16,745?
I'm using the budget with everything in it, as if Jamaica
with Jamaica.
Yes, with Jamaica.
So 16,745.
Correct.
And without, what would it be for the per pupil?
For the per pupil, let me just throw this in and I'll tell you. So 16,594 is the cost, is the per pupil spending before the reduction and the added penalty.
Before the reduction.
So so after the reduction is 16,430.
Oh, that's the one that you referred to earlier. Got it.
Yes. And that is $504 per pupil over the threshold.
And so just so people understand, the way that you calculate the amount to have to reduce to get to the threshold is you multiply the per pupil overage times the number of students.
Yeah, the long-term
weighted.
Yes, thank you.
So that's how you get to the 436,000 or the 567,000 that was mentioned earlier.
Yeah. That's very unfortunate, that stuff that you're looking at. Yeah. Jamaica, unfortunately, is really the loser in all of this.
Our CLA is horrendous.
Yeah, that's really, yeah.
That's what's costing us.
So we can go into the informational sheet and talk about Jamaica. We can look at the budgets, whatever you want to do, Al.
Do you have all the towns laid out or
just Jamaica, because they requested an informational sheet.
And what do you have on the Jamaica informational sheet?
So let me share that so everybody can see. So I'll go back to sharing, if that's okay.
Yep.
As I might as well. I have to bring it up first, don't I? This is such a pain.
maybe make that one bigger too?
Which, how do you do that?
I'll get rid of that thing.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is that better?
See that?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. Again, I just go over the state information on that sheet just because it's being handed out to Jamaica. I show that with Jamaica open with a pre-K program only, how much was saved from last year's budget. And the increase to Jamaica's tax rate is estimated to be $2.58 for the school portion. This is a 14.34% increase over last year, and it would increase their taxes potentially by $324 per 100,000 of a house site value over last year. And you can see right below that, reduction of the Jamaica school building and moving pre-K to another school comes down to a tax rate estimated to be at 2.53, 12.36% over fiscal year 25, and would increase their taxes $279 per 100,000 of a house site value. Further, I put this together showing what the threshold needs to be in order for not to have a penalty. And my estimation of all the taxes is if we met the threshold, all the towns except Jamaica would have a decrease in their expected tax rate. Jamaica would still have a 5.73% increase, and they're looking at a $2.38 tax rate.
Heidi, is that entirely hinging on the CLA?
It really is because of the CLA being so low in Jamaica. And, you know, I'm sure that's because of all the people that bought homes and
that were beyond value,
yeah,
that they really are.
It really has hit Jamaica hard.
All those second homeowners.
Yeah. So, you know, we can talk about the budgets. I did send them to you. Direction, whatever you want to.
Yeah. So I was going to suggest, like, obviously, I don't think the board is in a position to adopt anything tonight, right? I think we all can understand that's probably not happening. So I guess, we should talk about what the goals of the board are with regards to this budget. I mean, obviously, we can't control as a board what happens in Jamaica, and that's going to be one way or another way, obviously, which will drive some of these costs. But is there an appetite to get to the threshold? Is there an appetite to get within a certain range of the threshold? Is there an appetite to use some fund balance to get us closer to the threshold? Like, I think what we need from the administrative side is we need to have more clarity for you guys after seeing this initial look around where do you want to end up? And so that can then drive us to meet with the principals and Greg and all the different factors involved and try to figure out how to meet those targets that you're giving us. if you guys want to consider having a small finance or a budget committee that could maybe meet with us more periodically in the middle, excuse me, so as not to have more regular board meetings until we get to that next step. We could do that. We're open to whatever you guys want to do, but we're just looking for what that direction is from the board based on what you've seen thus far. Again, you could dig into more line item stuff if you want. So tell us what your pleasure is.
Well, I'll just kick it off and say I'm fairly certain that folks will want to get at or below the threshold. I don't, that's probably not even a question. Uh, yeah, I mean, Heidi, is this correct? If we were over $100, we're actually over $218. Is
That
that
is
right?
correct.
Yeah, that's loan sharking at its finest. So yeah, let's not go there. Um, uh, so it sounds like without Jamaica, we have a 430 that no, that's not right. Yeah, 436,000 gap. So yeah, all right, I'm gonna open it up. I see Emily has a hand. Go ahead, Emily.
Thanks. I do have a hand. I had a lot of hands. Um, so I guess, well, I'm gonna echo what you just said, Al, because I can't feel comfortable with double taxing our taxpayers. So I'm just gonna put that right out there in front of everybody. Um, at the same time, I just want to remind ourselves that the legislature is being tasked with reducing um, our property tax rates this year. And that is in response to some pretty strong outrage over the increases over not just the last year, but the last several years. And I do not anticipate a 1 year. I'm trying to. It's the reason I'm saying this is because we're not the legislature isn't in session. It's impossible to predict what will happen, but I suspect there will be a multi-year process to reduce district spending so property tax rates are lowered. That is, I know that oversimplifying what will happen, but nothing is off the table at this point. So, as much as I would love to be able to say, oh, geez, we're going to change the student staff ratio, we're going to change class sizes, we're going to do, I have no idea where specifically that the legislature is going to go, but they're going to go somewhere. And I really want us to be very conscious of that when we're taking our next steps, because it feels really important that we try to do what we've always done, which is try to stay ahead of what may be coming down the road. I know this seems really unfair because I'm not giving you any details because I don't have any. But, there's, I don't know how much people have been following the Commission on the Future of Public Education meetings that have been going on, but there have been a lot of things thrown out there. So it's not like we're in the dark about things that are being contemplated. So I just put that out there. I just want to remind all of us that it's going to be done to us anyway. Let's be very thoughtful about what we're going to do um, here in our district to make sure that we are strong and viable for the next steps that are coming. Our kids and our communities and our families really need that.
Thanks, Emily. Any other comments, thoughts? Oh, Lindsay, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that maybe we should form that financial committee that can kind of pick through, have a plan B and a C in case, plan A budget doesn't go out. Then we not trying at the last minute to figure out what we're going to reduce.
I agree, Dana. We traditionally have a budget committee that
Yeah.
meets in between meetings anyway. So yeah, I think that makes sense. Are you volunteering yourself to be on that
Yeah.
budget? You are?
I'd also volunteer.
Thanks, Emily. Yeah, we should probably have 3 to 5. Anybody else who's got a hand? Joe, I saw your hand. Peter, great. That's 3.
Trying to.
Did
History.
I
Ooh.
I see Drew's hand up. So is that a yes for Drew?
Yes.
That's 4. Okay.
Hmm.
And I saw Kate. All right, there we go. That's 5. Any more and more quorum. So
All right, I'll put that together and send out some dates. Do you guys, I assume you guys want these to be evening events?
seeing some heads nod.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
just I mean, there's a lot of you got negotiations happening. You got budget committee happening, and you got a superintendent who's got a bunch of other boards as well. So I will do my best and try to get that group together. And
Well, I'm just wondering, next Wednesday, we had set aside a time to meet in case I didn't have all the numbers. That's the only day next week that I don't have a board meeting where I'm presenting something. So we could try to meet next Wednesday.
Yep.
I also wondered if you want a reminder of what you have for fund balances that could potentially be used. Just to think about that and, have a discussion about whether you want to use any of the funds.
I think, Heidi, that would be important for this group. And also, I would say any of the principals, and Bob, just like sharpen your pencils, take a hard look, see if there's anything that just comes to mind, before that meeting.
So for fund balances, you have some after school fund of 95,000 that could be used. You have a food budget program that has 250,000 of a fund balance. And we're looking at your reserve operational fund of having unaudited $1.3 million. So there is a little room. I talked to Lori about the food program, and she cautions using the whole thing, but certainly when we talked it through, felt like using 100,000 of that was a good idea. And that budget has gone up. So that would reduce it back to what it was for
Heidi,
local funds.
I'm sorry, is the food program unrestricted? It doesn't have to be towards the food program?
So if we spend it on the food program, it's got restrictions. But I confirmed that the board can use those funds to buy down the cost of it if they need to. You have that authority.
Interesting. So you said 230 and then
250,
95 for the
95 for the after school budget.
which brings us to 325 out of the 430,000.
Yes, but again, I wouldn't use.
No. Yeah, totally understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it. Great. Okay. Well, that's
and
hopeful.
now, Al, the other thing I was going to mention, speaking of reserve funds, we had the conversation, I think, at the SU meeting when we were talking about the use of those funds to help offset the costs. And we talked about the sort of the range, what Lori has recommended. And I think Heidi would agree is 10% fund balance is
Well,
probably.
actually, when Lori and I were talking it through, and maybe Emily can speak to this, but one of the things that's being thrown around is reducing what they feel like school districts should hold down to 3 to 5%. So 5% of your $15 million budget is 750,000. There's been talk about the state making a decision to pull back funds to the education fund. I don't know if that will really happen out of schools that have more than what they decide is the right amount in your operational reserve. But that is something to consider.
They decide. Sorry.
Yeah, it's bitter, but the business managers have had a conversation at one of my monthly meetings about being prepared to try to spend down operational reserves if the state comes out with any mandate about taking back funds that are over a certain percentage of your working budget.
Okay. So of the five that will be joining next Wednesday, please go ahead and open it up. Anything else that you would want or want to see for that meeting? Go ahead, Peter.
We talked at our last meeting a lot about the 3-year-old preschool program that we have. I'd be curious in seeing, and because we talked and we were hearing that there are some issues with having 3-year-olds, but also I know that there are benefits of having that early. But I would just be interested in seeing what about possibly dropping that and what that would look like.
Okay. Thanks, Peter.
So can you be more specific and tell me, are you looking at having one pre-K program in your school district or potentially 2 4-year-old programs in your school district?
Well, I know with our two budgets, those are two very so I guess in the budget that does not include Jamaica school at all, I would be looking for a single preschool classroom.
So if that, okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Yep. Thank you.
And you would look at that from both the revenue and the expense side.
Right, which means tuition would go up a little bit, go up potentially.
Yeah. Kate, did you have something?
No, we muted her since the background noise there.
Oh, okay. All right. What else do folks want to see that will be joining next Wednesday? If nothing else, then we'll move on. Oh, Lindsay, sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, I won't be there on Wednesday, but I would love to have those numbers pulled out of what the increase for PBL was with all of the new travel programs that are super awesome, and also what the number of Journey Away was, because those two things maybe don't both need to happen. Just food for thought.
Thanks, Lindsay. Does that make sense, Heidi?
Yep, I understand.
Okay. Okay. Great. All right. Appreciate everybody. Jessa, I think I saw you out there. Yeah, if you want to do your journey away. Now I'm going to preface this. We went a little bit over on that, but expected it's our budget. Very important. Let's try to stick to the time frames that are noted here. So we got 10 minutes for you to tell us all about Journey Away.
All right. Hi, everybody. It's good to see some of you. I actually have some students here to talk to you, to tell you a little bit about how the Journey Away semester has continued to influence them throughout this semester. And then I can give you some quick updates about the travel intensives and some other related things. So, but I definitely want to hand the mic over. So, first up, Subitsky, you want to unmute and turn your video on?
Hi, I'm Sub.
Hi, Sub.
So some of you might know Sub from their life in West River Education District. And so I'm just going to ask a couple questions, and Sub, just tell the people your answers. So first question, how did your passions connect with your academic and final projects in the Journey Away semester?
So my passion is like writing and journalism, and that connected quite a lot actually with Journey Away because it was like a whole semester thing, but during that we all had like jobs to do, and mine was communications. So I would like write a bunch of articles that about what we were doing and keeping people updated on what we were doing and like yeah, everything we did. And then I would send them back like because I wrote during the trip also and I would send them back to the school paper and also like local papers around like the Reformer and like the Commons. Some of them got my articles too. And then at the end we all had to do like final projects and I made a newspaper called Soup's News. And I wrote like 6 to 7 articles about what we did because there was a lot that we did, so I had to write a lot of articles. And I put them all into one paper and made my own newspaper about it. So that really fit really well into my passion because my passion is like newspaper writing or broadcast writing. And so I literally did my passion on the
And
trip.
so, Sub, how has this influenced your life in college, academically and personally?
So I'm a freshman in college now in New Hampshire, and it helped me in college because there's like it's not huge, but we have a diversity program and like a group of international students, and it makes me want to like become more friends with them and like learn more about their cultures and how they grew up and where they're from. I have a friend named Mayombe who's from Tanzania, and I love to learn about how she grew up and what it was like. So it like helped me broaden my perspective of not just focusing on my culture and how I grew up, but also wanting to learn about other people's cultures.
And how about academically?
Uh, I didn't prepare my answer for that.
Yeah, you did. What are
Um,
you studying in school, Sub?
oh, I'm studying writing. So, okay, so I guess making my newspaper about the trip helped me because I'm also on the school paper there. So it makes me want to like write more articles about like national stuff and like not just about the areas around, but also around like the world. And like, because for when I want to do reporting, I want to do like national reporting, not just local reporting. So that was like a warm-up practice for it.
And how'd you do this semester in
Really
school?
good. I have a 4.0 GPA. I bet Bob Tebow wouldn't expect that.
Hey.
Not only do I expect it, but I'm proud of you, kid.
Thanks.
Hey, Sub, why is this a program that's important for other students to do?
I feel like it's important because it helps other students focus more on not just their culture and how they grew up, like I said before, and not focus on like just America because there's a lot more to the world than just America. And I didn't really think about the world like more broader than before the trip, but now afterwards, I'm like always wanting to learn more about other places, and it definitely makes me want to travel more.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Sub.
Welcome.
Grace, right? You want to show us your face?
Hi.
Hi, everyone. So same questions for you, a little bit different, just because you're still a junior this year at Leland and Gray. Um, how did your how did the Journey Away semester influence what you're studying this year and what you've been doing this semester and also what's coming up next semester?
Okay. Currently I'm working on a research project for my college writing class. And my question is how will like Trump's administration's like deportation plan affect like specifically our local economy? Um and I'm kind of trying to like look at agriculture and construction because those are going to be the most impacted industries. And so I'm trying to like figure that out. And that was like largely influenced from Journey Way because during our semester that we went to a lot of like local like dairy farms and stuff. And like that's like a big like that's our biggest industry here in Vermont. And so learning about how that's gonna be affected is really interesting. And next semester, I'm gonna start an independent project and or an independent study, and it's about refugee resettlement in our local community. There's a bunch of refugees staying at SIT, and I volunteered this summer at the multicultural learning community, and it was really interesting to like learn how like that's like happening in our local communities. And on Journey Away, when we were in New York City before like the trip, then when we were in Manhattan, then we met up with like this school, and there was a community that was like coming together to organize a food drive for refugees that like were like homeless and like didn't have any money and like they needed support. And the community was able to come together and like help feed these people. And like seeing that like in person, like I think we all realize like we can do something, like you can make an impact. And I feel like everyone is like trying to like incorporate that more into like our local community now.
Awesome. And Grace, why do you think this is an important program for other students to do?
Um, well, specifically Townsend, really struggles with like diversity. And so this experience is like necessary, I believe. Because you can learn so much things when you travel, and it might not all be stuff that you can like put on a test, but it's stuff that will help you like throughout your life. And I think that everyone like needs this experience because it definitely like changed all of us. I think we were like before and after like are completely different.
Awesome. Thank you, Grace. Um, Folks that are sitting near Heidi, is there any way to turn the camera to Eli White?
Right over there.
There he is. Hi, Eli. Do you see me?
I do see you.
Awesome. So same questions for you. How did your Journey Away semester influence what you are doing now at school and in your near future?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of benefits to traveling, especially as a young adult. And I think one of them is most certainly gaining a broader global perspective. And that's something that it did for me. So this semester, I've done a lot of work around telling stories that aren't often told. So one thing on Journey Away is I went to all these places and I saw all these things and I learned that there's certain things that in our media coverage here in the United States, even here in Vermont, that aren't told, that we don't see all of. So I've done a lot of work this semester um, uh, telling about certain events, or telling about certain conflicts, or telling about certain situations that are happening in our world that often are undertold or not told. Such as I wrote a pretty substantial essay on the Sudanese war, which is happening in the African country of Sudan right now, which has been largely flown under the radar because of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So yeah, I mean, Journey Away, it it is an amazing program, and um, I think I think especially for me, and I think every single kid, it's had those impacts through academics. So yeah.
And so why do you think this is a program that's important for other students to do?
Well, I think along with lines what Grace said, especially here in Vermont in the West River Valley, we don't get a lot of diversity. We don't see a lot of difference. So getting out into the world, seeing different things, seeing different people, experiencing different ideas is very beneficial. Um, um, it's easy to think one way. It's easy to get influenced by one thing. And when you get to see other things, you get to be influenced by other things. I think that makes for just, you're just better able to live in a world that's so big, it's not small. So.
Thank you, Eli. And thank you, Grace. Thank you, Sue. You guys can stick around and listen to the rest of the meeting if you want to. Eli, you must stay. Um,
Yeah.
so
I say too.
just a couple updates from me. So I have been working closely with Laura Tabachnik with the intensive program that we've started this year, specifically with the programs that are going to New York, London, and Chicago. I have been able to help out with the application process, which was, I have to say, it was absolutely incredible. We had 76 kids apply to do travel intensives out of eighth grade through 12th grade. So that's like probably about half of the students that could apply did apply. We were able to select 34 students. 35, sorry, to travel, which is quite a number of students. One thing with the Journey Away semester is that we wanted to have more students, and there just weren't that many kids ready. And I think these travel intensive programs, being much shorter, a week in duration, thereabouts, is going to get our students ready to do something a little bit more robust and independently driven as like a Journey Away semester. So that's been super exciting. Um, this is like kind of nerdy, but this is me. The Visbit, who is our school district's insurer, has they're big fans of this program, and they love the fact that I am very mindful of the risk that we take on taking these kids out into the world. And they've adopted the permission forms that I've created for schools all across the state. So Leland and Gray is really setting the tone for best standards in study abroad in high school. So that's pretty fun. Also working, I'm part of an education for sustainable leadership course that's offered. It's a course through Shelburne Farms and University of Vermont, and with them, I'm able to do some strategic planning around how to keep this program aligned with the curriculum and values and goals of the school, as well as figuring out strategic plans for funding over the long term. So that's all in the works, which is it's coming. Also working, actually, I'm a student in Laura Tabachnik's expeditionary learning study group at the high school level. So this is like EL that we've adopted for the elementary school level. The high school version includes these travel intensives, which is what we're starting this spring. And it also includes both expeditions, which are like, you can think of Journey Away as like the most massive expedition there is. And there's also, the model includes having teachers such as Rory O'Donnell, who you see here on the call, building an expedition in a regular curriculum that includes using experts and doing field work and all of these sorts of things. So Laura's been putting together a really neat course for anyone at the school who's interested in that. Also working with Food Connects, they're building an internship program, hoping to get some funding from USDA, sorry, so the Journey Away semester has an internship program attached to it. So students are either at local elementary schools or other community-based organizations here in our area. So they're getting some hands-on experience as well as the leadership skills that come with internships. I just had a call today with the Stratton Foundation, our dear friends, who really admire these programs and are very enthusiastic about them. I spoke with them today to see when I should be applying for grants based on their funding cycle. It sounds like they're way more interested in funding over $5,000, which is, of course, great news. And also working with these expeditions and Journey Away and travel intensives and getting it so they can support us in all of the ways. I think learning a bit more about Jamaica and all of that tax information that, to be frank, went over my head, I think is actually really helpful for them to hear, as a lot of the people that support the Stratton Foundation are the people who have snatched up all these homes in Jamaica and other areas in the ground. So I'm excited to learn more about the budget and how funding schools in Vermont works, which has also been a big part of what I've been up to lately. And also figuring out how to work with other organizations. There is a model that has also been really helpful. South Burlington High School has a field-based semester program. It's the only other semester program in the state. It's called City and Lake Semester, and they've been really helpful as far as figuring out different funding schemes, if you will. And then also working a little bit with the retreat farm, hoping to get talking a bit more. The executive director there has a background in heritage tourism, which is essentially what Journey Away is all about. And so there's a mission alignment there that could be really beneficial for partnerships in the future. So that is the update. I hope that was decent on time.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Jessa. Appreciate it. Any questions? All right. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, guys.
All right. We will move on to West River Valley Thrives presentation.
Hi, thank you for the time. I would just like to ask if Caitlin Sherman could have ability to share her screen.
We think she should.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I am Alicia Underwood. I'm the director of West River Valley Thrives, and we are a team of four. We're a prevention coalition that serves the Wyndham Central Supervisory Union. We are located at 74 Grafton Road, right next to Leland and Gray. In the past, we've been fully running our operations out of Leland and Gray, but we now are moved right next door. And we primarily focus on youth substance use prevention for youth and young adults. We work out of the 12 sectors of the community. So we work with several people in our community that represent parents, youth, school, healthcare, municipalities, and more. And this year we have several successes. One of the biggest successes that I think we do well is whatever we do, we aim to include youth voice, and our substance-free events in the community have been youth planned, and we have several students who help us create those events and help us create some educational materials. And we also worked with the school district this year, and it's the first year that Wyndham Central received an Agency of Education grant for tobacco use prevention. So we are primarily responsible of delivering those activities that focus on parent education, curriculum, policy, and cessation, as well as youth engagement. And for year one, we are tasked with primarily assessment. And so we will be working with the school wellness committee or the district wellness committee to complete a school health index assessment for school health policy. We'll also be looking at scope and sequence of the HECAT tool, looking at health curriculum, and developing basically a strategic plan for health curriculum and assisting the school with that. And we offer several youth leadership trainings that are both statewide and national opportunities. We've brought students to Ohio in the past for a youth conference. We've brought students to Washington, D.C. For a CADCA conference, and we bring students to the State House every year in Vermont for Prevention Day. And so I just really wanted this opportunity to share some of our successes, but also provide some data to you. Every year we do the core measure survey. And so in January, we will be completing that as well at Leland and Gray. And so tonight I have some of that data for you. And Sarah is responsible for parent engagement, but also a project coordinator for our underage drinking grant. It's a federal grant called the Stop Back Grant. So she'll talk about one of our initiatives that we've been working with the co-curricular team at Leland and Gray. So Sarah, I'd like to pass it off to you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So this program is called Protect Your Game. It's an evidence-based program from Substance Free Athletics, and it focuses on high school athletics by providing targeted science-backed information to student athletes, coaches, and parents. And Thrives has expanded the program to include tailored information for both music and theater students as well. And we're also looking into how to provide that same information to all students in a way that's engaging and captures their passion or their interests. The athlete-focused information explains specifically how alcohol, nicotine, and marijuana affect athletic performance. And we present it along with additional information on how to perform at your best. So, for example, get plenty of sleep, eat well, hydrate, pay attention to your mental health, and ask for help when you need it. Another key aspect of the program is to provide local resources and normalize seeking help for all struggles, whether it's substance related, mental, academic, or otherwise. And the handouts we've been using are tailored to each audience, so student coaches and parents. And we'll provide you with copies of those next time we're in person, and we'll email you some as well. And some of you may already have them, the parent handout anyway, if you have students who participate in any co-curricular activities. So in conjunction with this program, we've been working with Leland and Gray to update the co-curricular policies to follow restorative rather than punitive practices. And you can read the updated policy in the 2024-25 co-curricular handbook. With the restorative practices, rather than punishing students, they're provided with opportunities to learn from their mistakes and take accountability. They're also given the support and education they need where appropriate. Restorative practices help to create a more positive school climate. This is accomplished by building and strengthening students' relationships with staff and their peers. And these practices can also support students' social emotional growth. They encourage communication and empathy. They provide ways to prevent and constructively address conflict and harmful behaviors, and they help improve interpersonal skills. So we'll can also include information about where exactly you can read the updated co-curricular policy in the materials we hand out and email. And Caitlin, you can go from there for the next slide. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Caitlin Sherman. I'm the communications specialist and outreach coordinator for Thrives. So as Alicia said, we did receive the results from the 2024 core measures survey. So we're just going to share briefly some data that we think is relevant. So these two graphs here show the results of when students are asked how wrong do your parents or guardians feel it would be for you to drink any amount of alcohol? These slides show that 65% of middle school students reported wrong or very wrong, that their parents or caring adults feel that it would be wrong or very wrong for them to engage in that behavior. And then 64% of high school students reported the same. We do want to note that since last year, there's a noticeable decrease in the number of students who think that their parents feel it would be wrong or very wrong for them to drink alcohol. This next slide is this year's CMS data on perception of harm. So when asked, how much do you think people risk harm to themselves physically or in other ways when they drink any amount of alcohol? 65% of middle school students responded moderately or greatly harmful, and 50% of high school students reported the same. And we also do want to note that there's a steady decline in perception of harm at the middle school level over the last 4 years. These two illustrations represent past 30-day use. So data from the May 2024 CMS survey that was administered to middle school and high school students at Leland Gray revealed that out of 39 middle school students who completed the CMS survey, 13% of them reported 30-day use of alcohol. That's an increase of about 7% from 2023. And out of 58 high school students, 4% of those students reported 30-day past use of alcohol. And this is actually a decrease of 2% from 2023. Out of 39 middle school students who participated in the survey, 3 students reported having smoked all or part of a cigarette in the past 30 days. 5 students reported having smoked a blunt, cigarillo, or cigar. 2 students reported using smokeless tobacco products, and 3 students reported using vape products. And then out of 55 high school students who participated in this survey, 2 students, reported having smoked all or part of a cigarette in the past 30 days. 3 students reported having smoked a blunt, cigarillo, or cigar in the past 30 days. 2 students reported using smokeless tobacco products, and 6 students reported using vape products. So what are we doing about these issues? Thrives collaborates with our Leland and Gray student assistant professional, Connell Halvey. And we work to educate students on the dangers of using tobacco and nicotine products, as well as alcohol and other substances. We achieve this by providing direct and indirect education in the classrooms, on bulletin boards throughout the school, in the restrooms. We have signage up in there, and also by sending information and correspondence home with students and providing families and community members with substance-free activities in the community. We also have collaborated with Grace Cottage Hospital and are working with them on a direct referral program to promote our cessation programming. One of our team members, Megan Paris Polo, she is a tobacco treatment specialist, and she offers tobacco cessation programming to students and also young adults in the community. It's a 12-week commitment for participants. It begins with an intake and includes ongoing counseling or motivational interviewing with Megan. So this is a 100% confidential program that we offer through Thrives, again, in collaboration with the SAP at the school. And then this is just our contact information, which, as Sarah said, we are going to make a packet and send it to everyone so you have this information handy. But we do welcome any feedback or questions. We're open to anything, and we really appreciate your time here.
Mhm. I'd also like to invite all of you to participate in our community forum, which is on December 17th virtually, from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. If you are interested, just reach out to any one of us and we can provide you the link. Any questions?
All right.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
you,
much.
everyone.
Appreciate it. Thanks. All right. We are now on to after school and summer programs update.
Oh, man. Jamie's here live with us.
Uh, well, I have like 6 different desktops going and they all say the same thing. So it's going to be a little bit of a guessing game here.
I believe if people got the packets that were emailed as well, I think there's a printout of his presentation in the packet as well, which you guys have digitally as well while he goes to figure that out.
Out of school time?
Yes.
Got it. Yep.
What I want. Okay, here we go. There it is. All right. All right. So first off, thank you very much for having me here this evening. I look forward to sharing with you all the great things that we have happening during our, after school program and summer programs as well. Some of the highlights, programs for after school started September 9th this year. We were much earlier than last year. Last year, I just come on board and there was a lot that I needed to get in place, and that's why we needed to start as soon. This year is going to be more typical what we do, so we'll be starting as early as we can. Uh, I was able to come on and oversee the middle school program this year. We rebranded our middle school programs called Rebels After the Bell. I worked with students in the spring to come up with a name, and this is what they chose. We added clubs this year to our elementary programs. We have a coding club, choir, a dance club, and karate club. And actually, our coding and our dance club in Newbrook are both run by high school students. So we're very proud of that, having them involved. We've worked hard to increase staff professional development this year. I've worked with Vermont After Schools and the Flourish Lab. The Flourish Lab focuses on educating staff on how to incorporate social emotional learning into their everyday work. We have a program that our site coordinators are doing through e-learning when they have time to do that, as they are all very busy themselves. We did do a parent night so far this year. We're bringing those back in. The plan is to have one after each session so that way parents can see what's happening in after schools. We also honored a community member with what we called our Dreammaker Award. And students nominated and voted on this. And our first recipient was Josh Brooks. So he received an award for having an impact in their lives. How satisfied parents are. Parents, we did a survey. We don't always get a ton of responses, but the responses we do get back, I think, are very meaningful. Satisfied with the quality of the program overall. We got almost 4.5 stars for feedback. How likely are you to recommend our program to another parent? We got well over 4.5 stars. So families are extremely happy with what we're doing in after school. Before I go on to the next part, I just want to highlight some key things in our mission statements for both groups. Engaging safe and supportive after school programs, personal growth, social development, create a welcome, inclusive environment, nurturing and stimulating environment, inspire personal growth, ignite curiosity, engaging activities, and meaningful connections. I highlight these because on our next slide, we ask parents what's one thing we excel in. And for that, here are some of the responses. Providing a sense of community to the kids. My child feels safe with the program and staff and spending time with friends. Hold on, this bar keeps getting in my way. There we go. Keeping kids active and entertained. Increasing offerings of activities. The kids love going after school, so the staff are clearly helping them feel free to be themselves and have fun. Range of activities offered. Providing food to all, physical activities, safe environments. The connections staff have made with my child. So a lot of the things that are highlighted in our mission statements, we are, meeting all of those, and we see that in our parent responses. By the numbers. So fall this year, we had 106 students registered. Looking at total number of students in our school for this age group, that's 45% of our students were involved in after school this fall. Winter, we went up to 126 registered, which is 53%. 19% increase just from the fall to the winter. In comparison to last year we had 75 registered in the fall, 91 registered, a 21% increase there for last year. I'm not too worried about the drop in increase. Our percents compared to last year, we increased 41% from this fall compared to last fall, and 38% from this winter compared to last winter. So we're really moving in the right direction when it comes to after school. Governor Phil Scott said in 2022, he, hopes that our state can work towards a universal after school program. And part of that, the learning agenda was tasked with getting feedback, getting data from all around the state in collaboration with Vermont After Schools and the rest of the groups that you see here. So in their report, they found that essentially the state average for 15 to 17-year-olds involved in after school is 30%. And like I said, right now we're at about 53% of our students. So we're well above the state average. Summer, this state average is around 33%. This past summer, I can tell you we had about 52% of our students involved in our summer program. So once again, we're making the right decisions. We're taking the right steps to keep our students involved and engaged in these programs. What's next? So we have great after school programming, great summer programming, I would say. The next thing we talked about is what we're calling Rebel Quest. We saw that this summer there's that age group that's really missing out on something. And we, after speaking with our guidance counselor, after speaking with Terry, getting some teacher feedback, we really feel that middle high schoolers could benefit from a career college exploration week. So that's what Rebel Quest is. It's the opportunity for these middle high school students to explore potential careers and explore colleges as well. And part of that exploring will be taking the students actually on college visits this summer. Thanks to a grant from the Stratton Foundation, who's been, very supportive of everything that we do, we're able to run this program this year. Also working with BDCC, again, they're very much interested in this program, and we're continuing to meet and discuss, the best ways to get this across to the students. And they're very supportive of this as well, and will be collaborating with us on this program. Also, what's next? The next logical step is branching out into high school programming, right? I had an opportunity to meet with a lot of high school students this fall, and I kept hearing the same thing: is we need a dedicated space. It's hard for high school students to come back and just, okay, we're going to use this classroom or we're going to use the library, not have their own space. This is something I'm hoping to address this year, working with Dana on that. There'll be more to come on that later. Changing the norm. Right now, the norm is not for any programming to happen for high school students. They're not used to it. They don't know what they're looking for. So it's going to take a minute to get them to realize, oh, hey, we can do programming for you. You can come back. You can be involved. So it's not a deterrent not to do it. It's just going to take a little extra time. I would love to build on the momentum we're gaining with Rebels After the Bell, having the middle school students involved, and then, keeping them involved as they're entering into high school. And then having opportunities to expand, not just doing after school programs or just fun things, but then exploring getting speakers in and having workshops and things for students in that out of school time as well. So, I worked with Heidi a lot on this, and Heidi can tell you I worked a lot on my own. I probably prepared 30 different budgets just because I wanted to be very mindful and knowledgeable of what we can do to keep things at low cost for the community, but also continue to maintain quality programming. So, looking at our summer program, adding in the Rebels Quest, our after school budget, we're looking at a total of a little over $404,000. Right now, this year, from the numbers, we have budgeted 375,000, but that's just for after school. I'm talking about increasing it to add these summer programs as well, which would be a little bit of an increase of a little over $28,000 or a little over 7.5%. But that, like I said, that's not just after school, that's after school and all these summer activities. Now, that's the first proposal because that's what we have now. That's what we're running now. The second one is what I would love you to really consider. And in the second one, I'm adding in some funds for high school so that we can start to really explore doing things for high school students and providing that opportunities for them. This would allow for us to do at least some weekly events for high school students throughout the year. So that would obviously push our total up a little bit. We would need a little more, and our percent would be about 12% increase. And this is all without any grants that figured into it. This would just be, like I said, before the grant money. So if I was able to obtain grants, which I continue to look at several different ones, I was successful in getting some grants last year. Not all the same grants are available, but I am looking into different grants. So, but this would be the 45 to add all the summers in, add the high school programming as well. That would also be at most. I don't foresee going over that. In fact, I'm very confident we would be well under the 45. So why add a high school program, you ask, if we haven't had one? It provides a welcome and inclusive environment for students to feel valued and respected. It reduces exposure to unsafe and unsupervised activities outside of school hours. It'll help our students build lasting friendships in a supportive setting, offers a relaxing and judgment-free space for students to decompress, provides outlet like art, music, or physical activities to relieve stress, connects students to additional resources and support networks when needed that we know that during school time aren't always available to them. And lastly, would provide opportunities for students to gain confidence and leadership skills. I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to hear me out this morning, and also thank you for all your continued support for after school and summer programs.
Jamie, just want to chime in. So the proposal number one is what is actually in the two budgets that they're looking at.
Yes. So proposal two, I kind of snuck that in.
No. We just want to make sure they understand what they're looking at.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
No. That's good.
Yeah.
There's also 16,000 in the revenue that you had put into your budget that I put it into the budget of a grant or something.
Proposed grants, yeah.
Proposed, right.
There's
no
not guaranteed.
Not parent pay. It's so in the first budget or in the budgets that I brought to the board, there's 16,000 of grant funds to help offset that first budget you brought in. Yeah. Okay. I don't want to think that the whole thing's in there.
Great. Well, thank you. Thanks to all of our presenters. Appreciate it. Being very aware of the folks that are down there at Leland and Gray, I would say for our principal and superintendent reports, let's just ask if there are any questions. And if there are no questions, I'd love to get folks out of the building. Joe, I see. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I don't have a principal report question. I'm going back to the slate of presentation.
Yes, of course.
The last one contains some numbers. can we, probably for the budget committee, pull the numbers for the other programs that were being, I mean, those all feel like funding requests. Even though there were no numbers in some of them. So can we just pull the numbers for those
No,
programs?
it's all grant funded.
So Joe, just a quick response there is that Thrives does not have any budget implications.
And Journey East, we know, and
Journey East does, and we can go over that with that committee next week. And as we just heard Jamie's as well. But yeah, the Thrives one is they did their own funding sources and revenue and
okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Joe. Good call.
Can
All
I
right.
ask just one follow-up as well? I thought I heard Heidi you say that there was grant funding for the after school program built into the budget, but I thought I heard that we don't actually have that grant yet. Is that correct?
That is correct. It was an estimate that he would potentially get 16,000. So I put that in for revenue on the after school budget.
Do
But
we
that is,
often do that where we put in revenue for grants that we haven't received?
I think in the past, I mean, I was going off of Jamie's budget, but I think Stratton Foundation has come through with some funds in the past. So I think that that's what we were thinking, but I can certainly take it out. There's no guarantee.
Okay, thanks.
There was a reserve
For 95,000.
There's 95,000 in the
fund balance
for the after-school program as well, which you could apply to in part or all or whatever.
Yeah.
To that.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions or comments on the presentations?
I got one for Jamie. Do you have is it okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it, do you have an idea how many high school students? Have you done a survey to see how many would?
So I've met with different groups of high school students, and a lot of the groups I've met with, we keep coming back to they don't really know what they want to do.
Okay.
So no, I don't have a specific number for you yet, but that doesn't mean there's not kids interested.
Oh,
yes.
Kids.
Yeah.
They don't work summers anymore.
All right. Any other questions? Go ahead, Heidi.
Al, I just want to clarify, because you have voted and approved to ask the town to vote, and I've created this informational sheet. How would you like that dispersed? Do you want it dispersed? I have copies I can give.
Yeah, give it to me.
To Dana right
town
now,
office.
but if there's anybody that wants electronic copies, I'm just looking for direction on that.
Well, I think we have it. It'll be public. It's posted with or I'm sorry, let me ask, was it posted with the agenda?
It was not, because I had just finished putting it all together today. So I'll have Sue put it on the website tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, and when I communicate with the town clerk, we can send a copy of that over to her. Maybe share it out through their media, disbursement as well.
Yep.
So yeah, maybe we don't want to add just like we don't want people necessarily calling you with questions, but maybe if there's like one of the board members from Jamaica could be a possible answer. Yeah. Answer questions if there was some that came up.
Yeah.
You, Dana, Andrew, and just put their emails on there as well.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yep.
As long as Drew, if you're okay with that, Drew. You're still here.
It's not on there now. Oh,
no. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's assume he's okay.
All right. Thank you. All right. So with the principals and superintendent reports, appreciate all the hard work that you folks put into putting these together. Lots chock full of information and great stuff. But so I would say if anybody has any questions for those folks, let's just go ahead and ask those. And again, sorry for stealing your thunder. I know this is an important time and moment for you speak about the great things that are happening at your schools, but just being aware of folks that are at Leland and Gray. Okay. All right. Seeing no questions, I will enter. Oh, and just a reminder. So next Wednesday, did we have a time for next Wednesday? Oh, sorry. Yes, we do, because we had a slotted time already, correct? Was that
Yeah,
7 or what time was it?
it was. I mean, if yeah, we can reach out to the members and see if a different time would work okay as well,
Gotcha.
maybe a little bit earlier in the night, but we can do that, see what people are okay with, and we'll get that warned and ready to go.
We're talking the 18th.
Yeah, a week from Wednesday, whatever that is.
18.
I think it is.
Yep.
18.
Yep. Okay. Next meeting is January 13th. As Bob mentioned earlier, the day before the vote in Jamaica, which will be the 14th. Okay, we do show December 18th special meeting, but I don't think well,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
we'll change that
That's
to
the
the
one we're
committee meeting.
slotting.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. I'll entertain that final motion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Anybody?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Hi.
Everybody have a
Aye.
great night
Lindsay's
and
Get
Lindsay's
home
got her
safe,
hand.
everybody.
drive safe.